it's time. It's the moment we've been waiting for all show. Okay. Barrett Brooks, Devan Kaney, Sean Bell.
And in this corner.
We've had this argument all year long. We've defended these particular teams all year long. I've defended one team. You guys have defended the other. Now they're playing each other. All right. There's a lot of hate between the fan bases, between the teams, and between the media members.
Yes.
When it comes to this game, 49ers-Eagles at Lincoln Financial Field, primetime game, 425, a repeat of last year's game, the NFC Championship game where the Eagles demolished the San Francisco 49ers. 49ers feel like now that they got Brock, now that their quarterback is healthy, that they're going to be fine and they're going to roll against the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles say, hey, we'll come prove it. At least that's what Hassan Reddick said. This game has the potential to be a real rivalry. I don't know what y'all say, but I've said this many times. I feel like there's no real rivalries in sports anymore.
Right.
Like most of the rivalries are regional, in my opinion. Right? Like UNC Duke, Michigan, Ohio State. Like some of those rivalries used to be national where everybody was tuning in. I don't feel like we really have that no more. There's no, because one team fell off, right? Like Baltimore Ravens, Steelers used to be.
When I played there, that was the game.
Right?
Bro.
Here in Philadelphia, it was like, that ain't our team, but we watch it. When is that game?
Yep.
Not really like that anymore.
No.
Right? Because the Steelers, the Ravens are good. Like, it's not at the same time. This 49er-Eagle game has the potential because two teams, it feels like they had to see each other last year if they want to go to the Super Bowl. It feels like that again this year. Then they get to play each other in the regular season. So there's realness to this.
Bad blood.
Right? Like, and even media members fighting right here on this desk.
Yes. Their media in the Bay Area and our media here going back and forth.
Well, I mean, I feel like it's a lot more from their end, both on players, media members, fans. Like,
of course, you would say that in Philadelphia.
No, I think the 49ers have been setting themselves up for, like, they have made this game into such a personal affair that if they lose, it's going to be so embarrassing for them. And I'm so excited.
You got to watch out for the Golden Gate Bridge.
Like Jordan Mailata said it best. He's like, no, we weren't thinking about them last year because we were busy in Arizona playing in the Super Bowl. Right. I'm sorry. You said it. Demolished in the NFC Championship game. Brock Purdy ain't going to help you. I know he went out early in the game. The Eagles still won by over 20 points. Or almost 20 points. I'm bad at math. You know what I mean. They demolished them. You said it yourself.
Yeah, it was a demolish.
You think
now,
Brock Purdy's
I disagree.
Gonna make that big of a difference?
I think having a quarterback that can throw would have made a difference for a half. I think the Eagles would have still won, but it wouldn't have been a demolish.
I'm saying the 49ers fans.
It would have been a competitive game.
Act as if like they would have went to the Super Bowl had Brock Purdy not gotten hurt.
And I'm be honest with you, if it was the other way around, and our quarterback got knocked out in Philadelphia.
Well, guess what?
We would complain.
Has a backup quarterback,
but we would complain the same way. Well, if both your quarterbacks couldn't throw the ball, like I can see anybody in the 49ers situation, I can see them complaining and whining because that is something that's never happened before. But let me get to it. Before we even let me throw out the numbers before we continue.
She was on you from the jump.
From the jump. She didn't even let me go.
Yeah. You weren't even finished with your dissertation.
Yes. I was trying to have you know what I mean? An ESPN grand setup. And Dad said, knock it off. Let's go to it. She was, woof. You know what I mean? Threw some cold water in my face. Hey. Shut up, Sean. Niners. Favored in this game.
By three.
The Eagles don't like that.
So just to put in perspective, that means actually they're 6-point favorites because we're at home.
Yes.
So that's 3 points and the 3 points you get for being at home.
Yes.
6-point favorites.
49ers
if you
favorite.
really want to look at it. I'm hot
49ers
as
favorite.
Hottest
favorite. Well, go. Dev, you already yelled at me. Go ahead.
No, I'm gonna let Barrett take it.
All right, Barrett. I'm just looking at this.
Okay.
I don't understand how they can say what they're saying when you look at it. It was their fault for putting their backup tight end on blocking a guy that at that point had 16 and a half sacks. What sense did that make? He had over 16 and a half sacks, and you're going to have your backup tight. It wasn't even Kittle that was there trying to block him. It was your fault for calling a play in which you put our best pass rusher on your second team tight end. So that's a flaw in your play calling, number one. And Shanahan's play calling, number one.
Okay.
Number two, it wasn't like y'all defense didn't have everybody out there, and they still proceeded to kick y'all ass up front.
Well, the defense got tired because their offense didn't have a quarterback, so the defense was on the field so much.
Well, I just
want
to make known that those guys up front were there. They were still working. They were still. In fact, your two linebackers. I mean, the best in the business. I mean, there's only probably one linebacker core that I could say, and that would probably be the Ravens. You know what I'm saying? But the mere fact that those guys were out on the field playing at the time, everybody but Chase Young was out there playing at the time. Well, Hargraves also, he was playing, but he just wasn't playing on your side. I mean, I'm looking at him and I'm breaking it down. I'm watching film, man. I mean, y'all got backups, that can come in and play, and still, the disrespect is real. Y'all really still talking? I don't understand it.
First of all, y'all we gotta act like it's
personal.
It's no, but both sides. It's like three people talking, then we're saying y'all.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's a 53-man roster. It's practice squad players and it's coaches. There's 100 people over there on the staff, and maybe 3 people said anything. So, but we making it seem like everybody said something. It was like Debo, Brandon Ayuk, Robbie Gould, who ain't even there no more.
Your damn kicker. How is he gonna say something?
Robbie Gould, who ain't even there no more, who talked smack and said something. So it's not like the whole team. Like even Fred Warner came out and was like, I wish guys hadn't done that.
Well,
you know what I mean? So it's not like
out there calling James Bradbury trash, and like the Eagles are like, what? Like James Bradbury's not taking the bait on that.
Well, players got beef. James Bradbury, they probably said something crazy to each other in the game, and they stand on business.
Well, that just kind of reverses what you just said. You just tried to downplay it and say it was only 3 players.
No, I'm saying not downplay.
You just counted 4 people right there, right?
No, I said it's not everybody. I said it's not majority. I said, yes, there's individual players talking smack. But we're acting like the 49ers, all they do is talk smack. No, it's 2-3 players. It's not the entire team. It's not the majority of the team. It's not even a lot of the team or half the team or a quarter of the team. It's 2-3 players who were talking crazy.
Okay.
All right.
CJ Gardner-Johnson, who left here, was the one talking crazy for the Eagles.
Yeah, he talks. Yeah,
he had left already. But I'm trying to say, all right, Brock Purdy. They're really sound to say he's an MVP candidate.
Are
you kidding?
He is.
How?
We were going to talk about this later, but he is.
Later.
Okay, let's talk about it now. All right, so I was going to go on a different direction.
Now.
But we'll talk because I'm trying to talk about this actual game, not last year's game, and not MVP, but he is an MVP candidate because of this reason. First of all, there's about 6 MVP candidates. Dak Prescott, y'all may not like it, is deservingly so an MVP candidate.
I don't know. You get it.
Right?
Yes,
like Lamar Jackson is another MVP candidate.
You get that.
Jalen Hurts is obviously in the lead. Patrick Mahomes is probably second behind Jalen Hurts. None of them are far apart. The reason why Brock Purdy is in that, because we can go through all his stats, how he's top 5 and top 6, top 7 in this with quarterback stats. But all these players have something.
All of which are only when he's leading.
Okay, but all these players have something ahead of them. The reason why I say Dak Prescott still has big games to play. If he beats the Eagles, if he beats the Baltimore Ravens, if he does those things and by a big margin, he can be an MVP. It's the same thing with Brock Purdy. If Brock Purdy plays in this Eagles game and has 325 yards and 3 touchdowns, he is absolutely going to be a top 2-3 MVP candidate. Not to mention they also play the Seahawks again and the Baltimore Ravens. So if he has big games in those games, now whether or not you believe he can do it or not is a different question. But those 6 guys absolutely are in it and basically have the paper in their hand. They can write their own script. Now, I don't believe Dak can go ahead and do it and win those big games. I don't believe Brock Purdy will do it. But he's in position to do it. So that's why he's a candidate to win MVP. He's in the top 6 because if he beats the Eagles,
candidate because of a hypothetical where Jalen Hurts has proven every single week that he can do it.
He's the reason why.
No,
Hurts is
no. Brock Purdy's a candidate because he's top 10 in all these. Statistically, should be a candidate because he's in all this, and he's also 8-3 with the second best record in the entire NFL. So he has merit to it, but he can add to that merit. And the reason why I say Jalen Hurts is number one is because of those things you said. Jalen Hurts has already done some of those things that some of these other guys like Dak need to do. But all of that can go one way or the other way. Dak, if Jalen Hurts loses to Dak Prescott, loses to Brock Purdy in the next 2 games, which I don't think are going to happen, by the way, then he will be out of the top spot in the MVP.
Well,
that's all I'm saying, that these 5 or 6 guys can end up being the MVP at the end of the year if they handle their business. Now, obviously, everybody's not going to handle their business. But that's why Brock is in it, because he's 8-3, because he has the statistics to back it up, despite people, because he's number one in quarterback rating. So he can do it. Y'all just don't believe he will do it, which is fine. I don't think he's going to win MVP either, but he should absolutely be in a conversation, and he'll have the chance.
Well, that's
because
Sam Howell. Sam Howell leading the league in
Stop. We're not doing it. Sam Howell, stop. With the interception, Sam Howell's doesn't have the quarterback rating. He doesn't have the completion percentage. He doesn't have the wins.
We're talking about stats. You want to talk about stats that stand out for me regarding Brock Purdy in this game. Brock Purdy has the worst quarterback rating when trailing in the second half or OT.
Okay.
The 49ers are 1-3 when Brock Purdy has thrown an interception this season.
Okay.
0-2 with multiple interceptions. If the Eagles defense shows up on Sunday and can force some turnovers, they will steal this game. They will win. They just have to get to Brock Purdy because he is not opposite of Jalen Hurts, who has become accustomed to playing from behind and leads his team to wins at 10-1 when playing from behind. Brock Purdy does not know how to do that.
And then looking from this vantage point also, I look at Brock Purdy, and I look at him almost in the same way I looked at Dak Prescott early in his career. Early in his career, he had all the weapons in the world. He had Amari Cooper, Jason Witten, Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, he had horses out there. The offensive line was the best offensive line in football at that point, which made him a better player than he really was. And I think Brock Purdy's the same way because his head coach, because his weapons, because, yes, you have to learn. You have to know where the ball's supposed to go and how to get it there. He leads his receivers, beautiful passes to receivers and all that. But would he be this good without the weapons that he has? Jalen Hurts has proven that he could play at a high level, even with or without level. You took that starting left tackle.
He hasn't.
He hasn't. You took his starting right tackle. You took Jalen Hurts' starting right tackle out, and they still won.
He hasn't.
He took his left.
This is the same argument last year. He's always had A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. He's always had a bombshell of an offense, so he hasn't proved that he can do that without that offense. So I don't like that, we act like it's just – I think Jalen Hurts is great regardless. But you have to have great talent to be great. And I'll go with the argument of this. Brock Purdy, I know everyone's open. He's number one in the league when it comes to tight throws. That does nothing to do with players. That has nothing to do with play calls. That means when it's a small window and he needs to fit it in, he has the highest completion percentage. So it's not just, hey, people are wide open and talent.
Well, that's just the ratio is 9 times out of 10 they're running wide open, and that has a lot to do with their head coach.
But that statistic, again, like I said, tight window throws has nothing to do with wide open. Let me just get to this. The 49ers are going to win by double digits. and let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. Barrett, you've played the game or covered the game or watched the game for 40 plus years.
Yep.
I've covered the game, not played the game, obviously. I wish I played the game. Watched the game for 30 plus years. Dev, you've done the same for 20 plus years. 2 things that we always know that can't happen for a team if they want to win a Super Bowl. They can't lose a turnover battle, and they can't be outgained. In the last 4 games, the Philadelphia Eagles have been outgained by over 100 yards. In 5 out of the last 7 games, they've lost a turnover battle.
What's their record?
I understand that. But like I know, if those 2 things happen, coaches would tell you, may have got away with one, but we're not going to continue to win. And this is why the 49ers are favored in this game. This is why some people don't have them on top of the power rankings, because 100 plus years of watching football and studying football will tell you if those 2 things continue to happen, they will lose against good teams. So I understand they've found ways to win, but we know in big games when they get in the playoffs, if they lose a turnover battle like they've done a lot this year and lose yards gained, they are going to lose. And that's why the 49ers are going to win this game, because the Philadelphia Eagles haven't yet fixed that problem.
Well, you look at it. You know, you're right. Because if you're -1 in a turnover margin, you have a 76% chance that you're going to lose the game. If you're -2 and the Eagles have been -2, it's like a 96% chance, 94% chance you're going to lose the game. But yet and still, the MVP has found a way to get his team over the top. And that's when it comes to the quarterback being the difference maker on his team. And I think that the Eagles have the difference maker because of Jalen Hurts.
Mm-hmm.
More so than you have with Brock Purdy.
Mm-hmm.
No, I get that.
Look, I know that they've had some close games. Good teams, great teams find ways to win, and the Eagles have done that. They At the end of the day, the Eagles are 10-1. They got the best record in the league. And I know, fans of the Bills, fans of the Cowboys, they'll complain all day and say, oh, the refs were on the Eagles' side. The Eagles were the better team because the Eagles were the team that won. They got the victory.
Yeah.
We've been waiting, I feel, all season for the Eagles to have I hate the word convincing, a double-digit win, because I don't want to use the word convincing win. I have a feeling, and look, I don't have stats to back this up. I don't have research. This is going to be the week to do it, because this team knows how to compete. They know how to play in high-pressure situations. The Eagles are the main character of the NFL this season. Every team comes out to every game that they have against the Eagles like it is their own freaking Super Bowl. So, and they're good teams, too. Like, you talk about not playing anyone. The Eagles beat the Cowboys, the Bills, the list goes on, and the 49ers are soon going to be on that list of teams that they beat. The Dolphins. I think it's going to be a similar game to the Dolphins. We're all so scared of the Dolphins. The Eagles found a way to shut down that potent Dolphins offense. I think they do the same against 49ers.
I mean, that's cool. Y'all go off of feelings. I go off of facts.
But
and football knowledge.
One more
That's
thing.
fine. Let's take a break and we'll come back to it.
If the Eagles lose this game, I don't think it'll be by double digits. I think it would be close. I don't want to say okay with it. They're going to face the 49ers again in the postseason. Yep. Like, if you're going to lose a game, make it the regular season game. Fine. They'll get them when they play them again.
Calmer heads have prevailed, even though we still got to sort of talk about this. Actually talk about the betting aspect of this thing. Mm-hmm. Okay, guys. Everybody good?
Yeah.
We all right? Oh,
yeah.
And not for long.
Sorry for getting heated.
Not for long.
All I'm going to say is this: Brock Purdy, 3.5 yards, rushing attempts. I'm saying he goes over that because he's going to be running for his life. Oh, my fault. All right, go ahead and start off. Go ahead and start.
Okay.
My fault.
That's fine. I'm also picking a Jalen Hurts interception because that's what he does. They're turnover machines.
Not their defense. Their defensive backfield.
They're turnover machines. I mean,
like the 49ers.
No, the Eagles. That's just what they do. Lose a turnover battle.
And they still win.
Lose a turnover battle.
And what's their record?
Not for long, Devan Kaney. Not for long. Props. Dev, what actual props are you looking at in this game?
So a Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown has been a lock for me, like in the past, what feels like forever, like every week so far this season, but definitely the last 3 weeks, because he's going to do a tush push at some point. I was actually at the Eagles-Bills game last Sunday, and it's so funny because it's just going to happen that when they get in that formation, everyone's like, tush push. So that he's going to get one in. It's going to be a short yardage touchdown for Jalen.
You know what I hate, though? I'm always so scared to do a quarterback anytime touchdown.
Why?
Even though I know Jalen and Josh Allen, you just feel like they're going to run in for a touchdown, right?
Yep.
But it's still a quarterback running. I know it's I know it's different, but I'm always like, they got to get to the 1 yard line. And not even then, Jalen can obviously run it out from 10 yards. Mm-hmm. But the quarterback anytime touchdown, I get it. Even when I feel like, even when it's like you said, almost a guarantee, I'm always too nervous to pull that trigger. I don't know why I am.
In a game like this against a good defense like the 49ers, I will give your 49ers that. They're going to do it. They're going to do the tush push at some point, and it's always going to be a Jalen Hurts touchdown. Yeah. So pretty much a guarantee there. A.J. Brown, and this might be a spicy take, he has not been, going off lately. I think he has a breakout game. AJ Brown, he's amazing. You know what I mean. But I think he gets back on track in this game. I like his over receiving yards. What worries me on the 49ers end is George Kittle versus the Eagles linebackers, because Zach Cunningham is injured and the Eagles were already pretty thin at linebackers. So I hate to recommend betting on the opposing team, but maybe take some George Kittle props.
You got to take George Kittle.
I mean, the Eagles just get torched by tight ends week after week.
And especially in the middle, where now you have Ellis starting linebacker. You also gotta go with Christian. You know, his ability to go out there and play it. Go out there and get those type of yardage. In receiving, because I mean, little angle routes and wheel routes and screen plays. They always put McCaffrey in a great place to really go out there and be successful in the middle of the field. So I would go with Christian McCaffrey 31.5 and George Kittle 46.5, simply because that's not the strength of the Eagles defense, is the interior. Outside, and now I must say at the safety position, they're okay now. But the interior with those linebackers, they're going to try to work the interior of their linebackers. And, that's all Shanahan wants to do is window dress. I mean, he's got guys going in motion here, stopping, sending somebody else in motion this way, then turn around, quarterback walks, pirouettes, turns around, and then hikes the ball. And all that stuff is trying to make the defense become, discombobulated and not know who they have as far as, their assignments. So that's what makes their offense so good. And, that's why I say you don't need a great quarterback to play in their offense because of that. So George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey will definitely reap the benefits. You got to go out there over with receiving yards. As far as rushing yards, this is a game where Jalen Hurts is going to have to use his legs to win this game. He has to have that threat of him pulling it and keeping it and being able to run, even if he's running for his life, to make first downs and keep the sticks moving. So 10.5 over yards rushing is a safe bet also. No, that's my fault.
His is 44.5.
That was attempts.
His is 44.5, which is I don't like that for him in this game, because the 49ers play a zone. Yeah. So Fred Warner is always going to be looking. Dre Greenlaw is always going to be looking at Jalen Hurts. So I think a lot of what Jalen Hurts is going to be able to do
attempts I was talking about.
Is kill the 49ers in the pocket, particularly going deep. If he gets enough time, the 49ers cornerbacks can't hold up, right? So to me, that would be scary, because, again, you got Dre Greenlaw, Fred Warner, Chase Young, Nick Bosa chasing Jalen Hurts. I don't think he's going to get a lot of rushing yards, but I do think there's going to be a lot of passes deep. I like Devontae Smith over. I've consistently hammered Devontae Smith over the last few games because A.J. Brown hasn't had the huge game, because so many people are focused on A.J.
Yeah.
It's giving Devontae holes to slip in and score.
And without Dallas Goedert, who did practice today.
Yeah, he did practice. Yeah.
But if he doesn't play, Devontae's production goes up a lot.
Yeah, way up. So I like Devontae in this game. For the 49ers, I like George Kittle. I like Christian McCaffrey because, again, I don't think most people in this league can't guard George Kittle, but that they're soft in the middle. I don't feel like the linebacker core, even the safeties, will be able to deal with George Kittle. Nor do I think they'll deal with Christian McCaffrey catching the ball in the backfield.
No, that's what I said.
Right? Christian McCaffrey's going to make the first guy miss when it comes to these linebackers and safety. So I'll go over 31.5 for Christian McCaffrey when it comes to receiving, because, again, that middle is just right? Like, and not many people around the league can do that with those two guys anyway. But that's the one spot where you say the Eagles are going to be soft against the San Francisco 49ers. So with that said, scores.
Well, I'm going Christian McCaffrey 71.5. I'm going with the under. Write it down. Let me write it down.
Wow.
Write it down. I'm writing it up top too, so when I come back to look at it, write it down.
The under. That's cute.
Well,
that's
but
cute.
Look, that's
under.
If the Eagles are going to win this game, the keys are getting to Brock Purdy and shutting down Christian McCaffrey, or at least trying to, because when Christian McCaffrey doesn't do much, the 49ers don't win. Like, it's as simple as that. So they really need to limit what he's able to do, which is a lot easier said than done.
But I'm still going with it. I'm going to go with Deebo Samuels over 11.5, because they're going to run a little reverse here and there. Mm-hmm. Give him some touches in the backfield, but I don't think it's going to make a difference in the score. But I do think that he'll have over 11.5. So Christian McCaffrey, I'm going with the under 71.5. I'm going DeAndre Swift, 53.5. I'm going with the over with that. As far as receiving, I'm going to go Devontae Smith also, 57.5 yards receiving. Christian McCaffrey, I'm going to go 31.5 with the over, like I said. George Kittle, 46.5 with the over. I'm going Brandon Ayuk, 63.5.
Okay.
With the under.
So real quick, we got 2 minutes left. Give me a score to that game.
Oh, score. I'm going to go 28-21. Eagles win.
Okay.
34-14 Eagles.
34-14? Mm-hmm. I swear to God, the disrespect to my man Brock. 27-17 49ers. And I think this game could be different when it comes to in the playoffs. I also have to throw in, I feel like the Eagles, when you play so many emotional games in a row, you're bound for a letdown. I don't care who they're playing.
No, and that,
right?
that
like
does
it's
worry me.
Emotional game. Emotional game.
You're right about that. Like not just emotional, but also like their schedule wise now is, the 49ers have 10 days rest. The Eagles played on Sunday.
Yeah.
They're in the middle of a gauntlet. They have to go face the Dallas Cowboys right after. Yep. And then they have to play the Seahawks on Monday Night Football in prime time. Where, like I mentioned, all these teams, when they face the Eagles, it's like their personal Super Bowl. Yep. So they're facing the best of the best who are playing at their best, who've been hyped up for this game. And, yeah, it's draining emotionally and physically. And the Eagles' defense, I think, played
95 snaps.
Yeah, an insane amount against the Bills. Yep. And it went to overtime.
Yep, 95
and they have less
snaps.
Rest.
Yep.
So,
yeah,
look at me. I'm like a 49ers fan.
Yeah,
I'm making excuses.
No, it's just anytime the Kansas City Chiefs will have a big game and then lose to the Raiders. Because they had you know what I mean? It's just one of those things. How many big games in a row can you actually win? It just happens. It's just human nature.
You got a quarterback that makes the main thing. Those type of things don't happen.
You're right. Brock's going to make the main thing the main thing. We're going to see it.